This is the Season Long Podcast in support of the YouTube channel SeasonLongBaller, and check us out on TikTok at SeasonLongBaller as well, where we show some game clips there. And I hope you have had a wonderful All-Star weekend. We'll jump right into it in just a second, but first, we got some stuff we definitely got to cover. Now, if you have followed me on this channel, you know, and you have heard the phrase, my main man, Daniel Gafford. Well, what has happened, as you know, in real life, Daniel Gafford was traded to the Dallas Mavericks at the trade deadline. Now, this isn't going to affect us on NBA 2K24. It's definitely going to affect us on NBA 2K25, but as you've heard me mention a few times, it's always the things that are going on in the real league don't affect us. And of course, in the simulation, we have our own trades, such as Şengün of the Rockets is now playing for the Wizards, which is even a longer thought that we'll talk about in just a moment. But Daniel Gafford traded to the Mavericks means that next season, obviously, he will not be on the Wizards, and that's sad. You know all the lobs, how much fun I have had throwing lobs to Daniel Gafford. Summerz working up top. We'll go screen and roll with Gafford. Summerz with the lob to Gafford, and two-hand flush over Okongwu, who recovered late. And the Wizards get that one to complete it. Guess if I'm not going to hit a three, I can throw a lob to Gafford, I guess. Thank you very much. Appreciate all the love. As Summerz comes downhill and we get the lob with the reverse dunk to Gafford. Oh, off the backboard. Ooh, look at that. I didn't even notice that straight up. Nice way to start the game.
We'll go pick and roll with Daniel Gafford. We have not been able to do that today. Summerz up to Gafford. Easy boot this time. Kind of slowed down. Gafford rolled in and flushed it. You know I love throwing those lobs to Gafford.
So that won't be a thing in NBA 2K25. More so, the centers that are on the Wizards on our simulation, Daniel Gafford, Alperen Şengün that I just mentioned, Mike Muscala, and even Gallinari. I'm saying that wrong, but Gallinari. All four of them. Gallinari has played center in some kind of, some smaller ball type lineups, even though I think he is 6'10". All four of them will not be on the roster next season. Now, the Wizards in real life made a deal trading Muscala and Gallinari, who's already been bought out. And by the way, Gallinari is now playing for the Milwaukee Bucks, who have picked him up after the Pistons released him. But Muscala and Gallinari were traded to the Pistons in the deal that sent Marvin Bagley III to the Wizards. So most likely he's going to be the starting center for the Wizards in our simulation next season. So we're losing all four of them. So as if that's not enough of a body blow, the player who has really stepped up this season for our Wizards at the shooting guard position, no, not Jordan Poole, but DeLon Wright. The Wizards bought him out here recently, and he is about to sign with the Miami Heat. And the Heat, we're having problems beating the Heat right now. So on NBA 2K25, I can look forward to possibly having to face DeLon Wright. So 2/5 of the starting lineup for the Wizards will be different next season. And that is going to be losing. Well, Daniel Gafford wasn't kind of starting right now since we had acquired Şengün, but losing Gafford and losing Wright, that's two blows. Now, granted, that's SeasonLongBaller 2K25's problem, but still, that is pretty significant, and that's where we'll start the podcast this week. Now, taking a look at what's actually happened on the court, the Dallas Mavericks are the number one seed in the West right now. As you see, 35-21. The Lakers are 2, the Warriors are 3, the Pelicans round out your top 4. We faced the Mavericks last Monday before the All-Star break and took an 82-79 loss to the Mavericks, where Luka Doncic hit a three-pointer with 1.6 seconds to go to doom us and send us down the path, send us to the L. As you see, the Wizards shot 52% to the Mavericks 48. 3-pointers, the Wizards were pretty good from deep, shooting 54%. The Mavericks shot 44%. And rebounding actually went in favor of the Wizards, 34-28. The biggest difference in the game was free throws. The Mavericks were 6 out of 10. The Wizards only shot 2 free throws and hit one of those here in an 82-79 victory for the Mavericks. And the most significant thing about this is the Mavericks become the first Western Conference team to win a season series from the Wizards in what I'm going to start calling the Jaymont Summerz era. And that's, that basically spans last season when we played all 82 games on NBA 2K23 and up to right now on NBA 2K24. The Mavericks, now granted, playing the Western Conference teams, that's true. You usually only face them twice, but last season, no one swept us. No one defeated us 2 times. Back on November 15th, which is a game I don't like to talk about, Kyrie Irving was doing Kyrie Irving things. We got destroyed, and Daniel Gafford was injured in that game, and that is prior to the trade for Şengün. So that wasn't a very good game at all. The Mavericks blew us out then, blew us out in DC, got the 3-point victory here, so the Mavericks get a 2-0 season series win. Now, the Mavericks got 20 points from Kyrie, 7 out of 17 from the field. Luka was 7 out of 18 from the field and 2 out of 8 from deep. And again, we still managed to lose this game. Steph Curry probably being the biggest difference here, 4 out of 4, 3 out of 3 from deep, scoring 11 points. And on the Wizards, Summerz had 32, going 12 out of 22. We went 8 out of 12 from deep. And Jordan Poole had one of his better games, going 10 points coming off the bench. Going 12 points in 10 minutes. 5 out of 9 and 2 out of 2 from the field. But the Wizards spent most of this game behind. And it wasn't until the fourth quarter where we hit something like 4 3-pointers in a row to close the deficit and eventually tie the game at 79 before Luka's heroics. And that is how the game went. Now, somewhere in that game, Şengün was injured. I don't recall where he was injured. Now, thinking about it later, I do remember that Daniel Gafford was playing some of the final minutes in that game. But I don't remember where Şengün was injured. And as you see here, he has a strained right hip. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. And that means that when we played the Mavericks the first time, our starting center, Daniel Gafford, was injured. And when we played them the second time, our starting center, Alperen Şengün, was injured. So I definitely don't want to see the Mavericks anymore. We get hurt and we get beat. So I definitely hope that the Mavericks do not come out of the West if we happen to make the finals ourselves. That's not a guarantee because we haven't proven that we can beat the Miami Heat if we end up facing them in the playoffs. So the next game without Şengün was against the New Orleans Pelicans. We defeated the Pelicans 74-64, shooting 55% from the field. The Pelicans shot 52% from the field. For the Pelicans, Trey Murphy III led the way, going 6 out of 6 from the field, 2 out of 2 from deep for 14 points. Brandon Ingram did not have a good game. As you see, he was 5 out of 15, 2 out of 3, and scored only 12 points. CJ McCollum had 11. Zion Williamson was only 3 out of 6 from the field. And sometimes I do think with 2K. Now, granted, Ingram got 15 shots, and Murphy was hot, so you would think he would take 6 shots. But you would think one of your big guns like Zion Williamson should get more shots. And sometimes I think the star players on the teams in the simulations don't take enough shots. McCollum took 11, Ingram got 15, but Zion only got 6, and it's debatable. Okay, so if Ingram's 1, then Zion's 1A, right? Or vice versa, and McCollum is the 3rd scorer in that, right? Regardless, it seems like Williamson should have gotten more shots. For the Wizards, Summerz got 19 shots, went 5 out of 14 from deep, and did lead the Wizards with 29 to go along with 7 assists and 5 rebounds. Kuzma bounced back after having a poor game against the Mavericks, going 6 out of 8, 14 points, 2 out of 3 from deep, and the Wizards did pick up the 74-64 victory. Now, taking a quick look at All-Star Weekend, as the Pelicans were our last game before All-Star Weekend. The Rising Stars game, a different format on 2K, going US and World again. US with the dominant victory, 81-45. Summerz, second-year player, in the Rising Stars game, had 17, 5 out of 7 from the field, and 5 out of 7, all of those shots being three-pointers. Scoot Henderson was your MVP, scoring 18 points, had 5 assists, and went 7 out of 11 from the field. Now, the All-Star game was an entirely different story. The East winning over the West, 68-66. First of all, there was the Elam ending. The NBA All-Star game is not doing the Elam ending, or did not do it this season, and I don't think they're going to do it anymore, at least for now, as they went back kind of more traditional with the East versus the West. But in ours, we did have the Elam ending. The good thing is both teams were tied at 66, so you got an exciting Elam ending, with Jaymont Summerz getting the assist to Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat to end the game and get the East the victory. Jaymont Summerz also picked up MVP honors, and we will talk about that in just a moment. As you see, the East, which you see here is Team Jaymont, had 52%. Jaymont was the leading vote getter, 1.5 million votes. Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets was the leading vote getter in the West and overall with 1.7 million votes. And that is your Western Conference team. 45% from the field, shooting 41% from deep as the East shot 40% from deep. But you'll notice that the East did not shoot any free throws in the entire game, while the West shot 5 out of 6. And the East have the two leading free throw shooters, two leading, foul drawers. The guys who draw the most fouls in the league in Joel Embiid and our player build, Jaymont Summerz, and yet we had no free throws in the All-Star game. And you will see here that the rebounding battle was pretty close, 30-29 in favor of the East. Steph Curry led the way for the West with 27 points, 10 out of 16 from the field, 6 out of 12 from deep. Luka Doncic did not have a great game, going 3 out of 10 for only 8 points, and LeBron James was 1 out of 7. And he only had 2 points in his 20th All-Star game. For the East, Summerz led the way, 7 out of 16 from the field, 5 out of 12 from deep, had 19 points to rally the East in the fourth quarter. And as I mentioned, the pass to Bam Adebayo to get the victory in this Elam ending 68-66. But here's the other strange thing about this. The game was in Indianapolis. I mentioned that Summerz was the MVP. The game was in Indianapolis, and you'll notice that Tyrese Halliburton, did not play. That is crazy. Now, obviously, in the All-Star game, everybody plays, but the home player does not play. Most of the time, the home player is the guy that gets the ball fed to him all the time. And I even mentioned during the game, or at the end of the game, when Summerz got the MVP for the All-Star game, I didn't remember seeing Halliburton. Or at least Halliburton was never on the floor with Summerz. Now I know why. He never played in the game. So Halliburton did not play. And that's just crazy, because if he was in the game, I just would have kept feeding him the ball as much as I possibly could, because that's what you do for the home guy in the All-Star game. But be that as it may, Jaymont Summerz picks up the MVP, and the East wins 68-66. And as it stands, so for the Rising Stars game on this past Friday, Scoot Henderson was your MVP. The three-point shootout, Jaymont Summerz was your winner, our player build. Summerz had a 33 in the first round, a 36 in the second round, triumphing over Buddy Hield of the Pacers, Isaiah Joe of the Thunder, Desmond Bane of the Memphis Grizzlies, and then the Splash Brothers, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, obviously of the Golden State Warriors, and then us, that was your 6 competitors in the three-point shootout. And then our player build again, we get the All-Star MVP for the All-Star game yesterday. So next, this is what's coming up this week. Now that we've gotten past All-Star weekend, we are not back in action until Thursday, where we will see Nikola Jokic again, this time in Denver on Thursday. And then on Friday, we will be facing the Oklahoma City Thunder and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in OKC. And we return home on Sunday, next Sunday, to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's going to do it for this edition of Season Long Podcast number 48. Thank you for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week and look forward to seeing you on Thursday, as All-Star Weekend was a blast, and thank you for watching and joining us for those. We will see you again on Thursday. That's it for Season Long Baller. Peace.